Let's talk about willpower. We usually think of it as some kind of moral superpower. You've either got it or you don't. But what if that's completely wrong? What if it's not about being a good person, but about a real physical part of your brain, a circuit that you can actually understand, train, and make stronger? Yeah, you heard that right. So let's get into it.
We all know this feeling, right? It's that constant daily battle between what you know you should do, like go to the gym or study or skip that second piece of cake, and what you feel like doing, which is probably none of those things. So why is that gap so huge? Why is it so hard to just do the hard thing? Well, the answer is literally inside your head.
So, here's the scientific take. Willpower isn't just trying hard. It's the actual physical effort your brain has to make to step in and override its own automatic, lazy programming. It's your brain saying, nope, we're not doing the easy thing. We're doing this instead. That feeling of effort, that's what we're going to break down. For the longest time, the go-to theory in science was this idea called ego depletion. And it's a pretty simple metaphor. The idea was that your willpower is basically like a gas tank. Every time you have to resist something or push yourself, you burn a little fuel, and you've got less in the tank for the next challenge that comes along. So how did they even test this idea? Well, they came up with this really clever, kind of cruel experiment. Picture this. You walk into a lab, and there's a plate of warm, freshly baked chocolate chip cookies. One group of people was told, you can't have these, but you can have these radishes instead. The other group only had to resist the radishes. Not a big deal, right? Well, after that, they gave everyone a really frustrating puzzle to solve. And guess what? The people who had to resist the amazing cookies, they gave up on the puzzle way sooner. It really looked like their willpower tank was running on empty. The next logical question was, okay, what's the fuel in this tank? And for a while, they thought it was glucose. Sugar. Early results seemed to back this up. Give someone a sugary drink and poof, their willpower seemed to come back. But then, things got really interesting. A later study found it wasn't really about the sugar, it was about what you believed. Turns out, if you think willpower is a limited resource, it is, for you. But if you believe you have plenty of it, you do. Your mindset literally changed the outcome. Okay, so that just blows the whole fuel tank idea out of the water, right? If it's not some resource that's just draining away, then what is it? And where does that feeling of grit, of pushing through, actually come from? Well, science finally found an answer, and it's located in a very specific spot in your brain.
Everybody, meet your anterior mid-cingulate cortex. Let's just call it the AMCC. This little area is what neuroscientists now call the hub for tenacity and willpower. It's not a metaphor, it's not a concept, it is a real physical piece of brain tissue that generates that feeling of, this is hard, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
And we know this because the evidence is just overwhelming. When you're doing something hard, the AMCC lights up on brain scans. It's way more active in people who are successfully sticking to a diet. On the flip side, we see less activity there in people who are overweight or dealing with depression. And maybe the coolest part? Superagers, these folks who stay incredibly sharp in their 80s and 90s, well, they literally have a bigger AMCC.
Neurobiologist Robert Sapolsky summed it up perfectly. He said, the frontal cortex makes you do the hard thing when it's the right thing to do. And this really gets to the heart of it. Because if willpower is coming from a specific brain region, that raises a really exciting possibility. Can we train it? And the answer, we now know, is a huge yes. You can train your willpower. The AMCC acts just like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you challenge it and force it to work, the stronger and bigger it gets. This is probably the most empowering discovery in the science of willpower. You're not stuck with what you've got.
So how do you actually take this brain region to the gym? Well, one of the best ways is through something called microsucks. I love that name. The idea is simple. You pick small, safe things that you really don't want to do, and you do them anyway. You do them on purpose. It's like doing a bicep curl, but for your brain's tenacity center.
So what does this look like in real life? It could be anything. Maybe you force yourself to do one more set at the gym when you're totally wiped. Or you turn the shower to cold for the last 30 seconds. Maybe you do a quick sprint after you finish your run. Or you just say no to that dessert you're dying to have. The what doesn't matter as much as the that you voluntarily chose to do something difficult. And on top of those microsucks, good old-fashioned cardio is amazing for this. Getting in regular aerobic exercise has been shown to physically beef up the neural highways going in and out of the AMCC. But here's the best part. Just the act of making yourself go for that run when you don't feel like it, that itself is a rep for your willpower muscle. It's a double win. Okay, so we can train our willpower. That's cool. But so what? Why does making this one little part of our brain stronger actually matter in the grand scheme of things? Well, it turns out the ripple effects are absolutely massive.
Okay, get ready for this number. It's kind of mind-blowing. In one study looking at health and inequality, researchers were trying to figure out the link between a mother's education level and her child's future risk of obesity. And what they found was that self-control accounted for, wait for it, 87.5% of that connection. I mean, let that sink in for a second. Self-control was the overwhelming factor. That's just, wow.
And it doesn't stop there. Study after study shows the same thing. Having better self-control, which we now know is rooted in that AMCC, is tied to pretty much everything we want in life. Better health, more financial success, and even living longer. So training your willpower isn't just some productivity hack. It's one of the most fundamental things you can do for a better life. Now here's the big challenge we're all facing today. Our brains were not built for the modern world. We are surrounded by what some call limbic traps. These are things that are perfectly designed to hijack our ancient reward systems. Think super sugary foods, endless social media scrolls, addictive substances. They give us a huge immediate reward, but they have terrible long-term consequences. Our willpower is under attack 24/7.
And that really brings us to the final big question, doesn't it? When our entire environment is basically designed to break down our self-control, has actively training our willpower stopped being a nice-to-have and become an essential skill for survival in the modern world? Definitely something to think about.